Big trust and keep the faith, baby. Hi, welcome. Welcome to Meryl's Mystic. I'm Meryl, and today we are here to talk about the upcoming full moon in Aries, and that is happening on Wednesday, October 20th, a little bit in the morning, so a little bit before 9 a.m. Mountain Time. So that's 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So if you do full moon rituals, definitely do them before the night before, so the evening of the 19th. And it's so funny because a couple times I kept wanting to call this the Aries new moon, even though I know it's not the new moon because we're in Libra season, we're not in Aries season. But I'm wondering if that's going to come up about how, because Aries isn't very, usually isn't very introspective. That's not a trait that we usually associate with Aries. And so I'm curious to see how the reading goes, because with this Libra season and us moving into Scorpio season that is really introspective, there's this nice little like dash of Aries energy in the middle, because we've been so like needing to take care of ourselves, and we're going to get even deeper into that into Scorpio season, and we need this little like boost of this Aries energy to like really solidify us basically not giving a fuck or giving a shit or giving two shits, or to really solidify being our fully embodied selves. And that's what this is all for. It's all so that we can be our fully embodied selves and enjoy living our lives and enjoy being ourselves while we're living this life. So thank you so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. A couple other things that are coming up before we get into the reading. Mercury is still retrograde in Libra, but it will be going direct on October 18th, and we will be in the shadow until November 3rd. So it will go direct a couple days before the full moon, but we will still be in the shadow for a couple weeks, and I have a feeling with this one it's going to linger, because that's just been kind of the retrograde it is. It is not... although it's doing these great things, I think, to help us really find where our boundaries are and really test our faith in the universe and the life and what we're supposed to be doing. I do think that it seems that nobody's been safe from this one. So keep holding on. It's gonna be okay. It is. All these challenges are for your highest good. It's just making us think a little differently, or trust a little more that everything's gonna work out. So after that, after the full moon, 2 days after the full moon is Scorpio season begins. And speaking of Scorpio season, the next live will be on Halloween, on the evening of the Samhain. That's Sunday the 31st. I'll be doing it a little late that day that day at 8. A little late at 8 because I want to make sure that like everyone's done trick-or-treating and all that kind of stuff, and we actually get to have trick-or-treaters this year, and so I want to do that too. But please come and join me on the evening when the veil is at its thinnest, and that will be really fun. So yeah, I think that's all, and then we can get into a little tarot reading for the Aries full moon. So the thing I wanted to add about retrograde in this sense of the challenges, in between the challenges, you should be feeling some freedom and some empowerment. I've noticed that a lot lately too. It's kind of like the challenges are supposed to be really pushing you to be where you're at and to be with who you are. It's a really cool thing when you have those moments of like empowerment where you get challenged and you're just like, okay, this is like kind of a sucky situation right now, but it's not messing with the core of who I am. Like, it's annoying that I have to deal with this or with this person right now, but it's not going to change how I think of myself. And that's really something that we need to be like tapping into for the remaining of this retrograde. So notice those moments. Take a moment to notice that and acknowledge it when you're feeling that sense of empowerment. It's come up a lot for me in the sense of my spirituality being challenged, and it made me realize how many people, especially men in my life over the course of my life, starting very young, have challenged my beliefs and challenge whether I have strong beliefs, and for a long time I was still figuring them out, and so it would kind of trigger me because I'm still figuring it out, man. I don't have to have the answer right now. And it's usually men who are like very dedicated to a certain religion. So and I can't tell you how crazy it is that I've had men to my face just say, well, you just aren't strong in your beliefs, or you have no relationship with God. And it's happened again. Somebody said it to me again, somebody I don't even know. Just automatically, because my beliefs aren't their beliefs, and because, hey, if you want to follow God and Jesus and the Bible, that's cool. I'm not telling you not to, but it's and because I'm all about Yeshua. It's when you have a different belief system that you're being challenged right away, that it's just like, well, you have like just completely like, what's the word I'm looking for? Completely brushed off, not even wanting to hear like why you believe that, not even asking like, well, why do you believe that? It's just like, you have no relationship with God. And now, because I feel so loved and supported by God, the universe, your source, whatever you want to call it, it's laughable to me. And the last time I was challenged that way, I said, with full empowerment, and it felt so good, I said to this person, you know what? Your opinion has nothing to do with my relationship with God. And no matter what you say is not going to change how I feel. So that's that. I'm trying to give you an example of like, that's the kind of freedom and empowerment these shifts in energy should be bringing you. And it might be in your relationship. And there's a big focus on relationships right now too, and holding space for the other person and not taking things personally. There's so many little aspects going on, and there's this need for discerning when to attach and when to detach, and that it's healthy to detach from your partner every now and then to be your own person. To be a part of the relationship, not be the relationship. So there's a lot of this stuff going on. So I just hope that me sharing these experiences with you helps you kind of focus on where that's happening in your life and how you can relate to that. And please keep following me for more. Okay. So thank you again for being here. Please subscribe to All Things Meryl's Mystic, at Meryl's Mystic on most platforms. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please sign up for my email list. Any way you can stay connected with me, I would love that. Please be a part of my mystic community that we are building. It's becoming really cool and magical, and I can't wait to see how it grows. I have goals, but the business has its own goals too, and we're working together to figure it out. All right. So let's all take a deep breath together in your nose and out your mouth. Audible if you would like. Those would become my favorite. Take another one in your nose. Out your mouth. One more in your nose. Out your mouth. That's good. I'm gonna ring the bell. It's sitting on my petrified wood. There it is. Okay. Well, let's see what is in store for this Aries full moon. Sometimes I get a lot of messaging beforehand, but I feel like I didn't get a lot of clear messages this time. And I like that too, because then it makes us more open to like what wants to come through during the reading. Let's see. Ooh, perfect. 9 of Pentacles. And this reminds me too that my theme, the theme that was coming up to me for Libra season was the treat yourself theme. And I feel like that is, if treat yourself was a card, the 9 of Pentacles would be it. And I was already using some treat yourself from Parks and Recs with Retta and Aziz. Those are their real names. I don't remember their character names actually right now. In the emails, because I was like feeling this like really real self-care, real self-love, treat yourself. And then I literally just found out 2 days ago, that Treat Yourself Day is actually on October 13th. And I was like, fuck yes, it is. Fuck yes, it's on October 13th. Of course it's during Libra season. Of course that, like, and that was such validation from the messaging I was getting. I was like, yes, thank you. Like, tapped in. Like I love those little weird messages, weird synchronicities. Don't discount the little synchronicities. They say a lot. And I love that this is like the first thing that's coming up, because should be kind of where we all are, where you've been at for Libra season, is really treating yourself, putting yourself first, like letting yourself indulge a little bit. This is kind of the lap of luxury, lifestyles of the rich and famous a little bit. With champagne wishes and caviar dreams, my dear. I'm aging myself. So, and the other part of this is also, there's also a level of control that comes with this energy. It's also about like being on top of your shit, being on top of your game, so that you are creating opportunities for yourself to splurge a little bit. Because it's really hard if you like don't know what your money's doing, or you're always in a scarcity mindset, to even gift yourself a little bit of luxury. And so really be aware of that for the rest of this Libra season. Like, where's even your mindset getting in the way of that? Where like the actions that you take in your day-to-day are like pushing things away? Like, how many times are you just like, no, I don't need that, this and that, no, it's too expensive? Or like, even for compliments, like, oh no, you don't mean that, I don't deserve that. How many times are you like pushing away the abundance? And how can you turn that to accepting? Because little just turns like that can make such a huge impact. And that's where, like, I feel like that's where the control piece comes from. Because there's the other thing about control is realizing what you have control of and what you don't. And where you should be controlling things, and where you should just be like letting it go and letting the cards fall where they land. Anything else, everybody? No, not for now. We'll circle back after we see what else comes up. Oh, another 9. 9 of Swords in reverse. This is interesting because I feel like the last live, or maybe it was even for some of the Libra season tarot scopes. That reminds me, go watch your Libra season tarot scopes on Meryl's Mystic YouTube if you haven't. And the 9 of Swords is about turmoil, but it's also kind of nearing the end of turmoil and needing to go a little like introspective. And I like that this comes up when I'm talking about mindset also, because with it in reverse, it's really referencing the 8 of Swords also. And the 8 of Swords is all about like this illusion of being trapped. Because a lot of the times where we feel like we're trapped or there's no other options, that's us stifling ourselves. That's us telling the universe, I don't have any other options. And then the universe is like, okay, if you don't want any other options, then we're not going to give them to you. But believing that there are options out there when you do feel stuck or when you do feel in turmoil, it's again that changing that mindset around of trusting. And there's been a lot of this going on between Libra season and the retrograde, is this element of trust, in trusting that the universe, God, has your back, and no matter what you do, you are okay. We're all making just choices down here, and our choices, lead our path. But it's also, there's a part of trust in the co-creation of your life. And no matter what you do, as long as you're not hurting yourself or others, and you can also unintentionally hurt yourself and others, and we hurt each other emotionally a lot. There's no judgment out there. Judgment is a human construct. It is not a heavenly construct. Speaking of, when I was throwback to talking about religious people that are very judgmental of the spiritual crowd or the new age crowd, is this idea of sinning. That's a human construct. Okay. In spirit, it is, when you are crossed over into spirit, it is all love and acceptance. And so we have to, and part of being on earth is bringing this knowledge of the spirit world into the earthly realm. And that involves a whole embodiment of how you think, what you say, how you feel, and how you act. They just really took us somewhere. Circling back around, y'all, help me out. And so you might even be having crazy dreams right now too. I can tell you I've been having some of the craziest dreams. I had the weirdest dream this morning, and just everything was annoying, and people were being rude in my dream, and I even found a bed in my dream, and I was just I gotta lay down, this is too much. And then I woke up already annoyed. I'm like, why am I annoyed? I'm like, oh, because everyone in my dream was annoying me, So, and we need to really look at our dreams also, because that is what how our mind is expressing things, and how our subconscious tries to explore the things that we're taking in and learning every day. And so I definitely feel there's definitely a level of self-responsibility. I just looked at the next card. There's definitely a level of needing to take a certain level of responsibility for how we think, where we are, what we're attracting in our lives. And realizing that a lot of the times what's happening on the outside of us is a reflection of what's happening on the inside. The Tower card. This is why I was laughing, because the Tower is next. The Tower. This is probably how a lot of you are feeling during this Mercury retrograde. I know we had a very, at my part-time job today, it was a very retrograde day, and we were just Mercury's in the microwave. Mercury's in Gatorade in the microwave. This is just how much stuff can just keep kind of almost going wrong or appearing to go wrong. And I feel that's part of the Nine of Swords being in reverse too, is that it's all this appearance of things going wrong. What's that? Is something actually going wrong, or are you just being challenged with what's happening? And are you are you playing into oh, this is all going wrong, instead of being okay, we were here and now we're here, so let's accept that we're here now and see what we can do with this situation. Got it? It's about learning where you can be flexible, and also learning what needs to fall away, what needs to not happen. And part of that is a choice. Part of that you can't control. There's that discernment again between what can you control to like let fall apart, what can you decide that needs to fall away and fall apart, and like, okay, there's a sign that this isn't going to work out the way I thought it was going to be, like, so we need to let it do what it do, you know, or is there something happening that you thought was going to be the thing, and the universe is just like, I'm sorry, that's not the thing. Because sometimes we have to realize certain things in our lives that we want to do or we're a part of our lives aren't meant for us anymore. And that can be really tough. That can totally give you a whole level of like grieving that thing that you loved, grieving my eyebrows not being even. I'm sorry, ADD. Like, good Lord, what were we doing this morning? Recovering from those weird dreams. So it's funny because I was just talking to one of my coworkers today about like my last little bit of burlesque in life and how that was something that I kept trying when I kind of knew that it was done. And so the person I was seeing at the time, who I turned to at one point, and I still remember what they said was, if the thrill is gone, it's time to move on. And it's those things that we just like keep trying to hold up because it was like, wait, this thing made me feel so good about myself and I loved it, and now I just like can't find room for it anywhere. And like, but I'm gonna miss it. And it's like, well, maybe it's just time to step away for a little while. Maybe, you know what I mean? You can always go back to it, or it's just meant to find something else. So that's the main thing about the tower energy, is that it can be very complicated. And it can be hard to accept. I've learned to really love the Tower card. And I really do feel like it's happening for a reason. These are those things that happen for a reason. I still believe that everything happens for a reason. Even if we don't have the answer as to why. You know, not everything is supposed to have an answer also. But it is really about, there is some like really good self-reflection here. And it's interesting because it's like this whole astrological year, and especially into Virgo season, into Libra season, it's really trying to like get you to be in this foundation of your strong self. And this Aries full moon is really going to help you do that without worrying about whatever anybody else thinks about it. Well, should I be this way? It's like, why are you asking anybody? It's you. Do you want to be this way? It's up to you. And it's really kind of, and with these 2 9s before the tower, it's like, you better get some solid ground here, and you better start being aware of what your mind is telling you, not telling you. It's your mind, baby. So you can decide what it's thinking or not. And that you can decide if you want to put into practice certain practices that are going to help you not just let your mind run the show. The mind is a part of you. It is not you. You are also your heart. You are also your physical being. You are also your spiritual being. So with these 9s leading up to this tower, it is at least giving you kind of a warning, like, okay, like, let's get a few things like a little bit more lined up, or at least being aware of who you are, or who you want to be, or where you want to go. Because when the tower starts to fall, then you're going to know a little bit better, like, okay, let's let that fall. Okay, let's let that, like, we're gonna hold on to this lifeline right here, because this is the thing I know for sure is gonna carry through. But these other things, I wish it could. It's not about holding on to those things that you wish you could hold on to. It's about recognizing the reality of the situation and and what you want your reality to be, and following the path that starts to be revealed to you. And when I had to finally realize that burlesque wasn't in my life anymore, I cried a lot. I had to do a lot of grieving exercises. I had to write a goodbye letter to my old self. I did the same thing when I stopped being a full-time hairstylist. Meryl the hairstylist does not exist anymore. My burlesque name was Marijuana. I finally had to close down all of my accounts. It was time to move on. And I definitely disappointed some people when I was making those decisions. And I just had to be, okay, that's fine. You can be disappointed, but I have to do what I have to do. And that meant that some of those people didn't talk to me anymore, and that's fine. But guess what? There are a lot of those people that I could still go see, and they're like, if you ever want to come back, that's cool too. And those are those real tests to show you who's really for you or not. And that's really what this energy is happening lately, is really... Okay, I'm pulling 3 more cards just to see. Okay, so then we have the Magician in reverse, and then we have the 8 of Swords in reverse. Look at that. Right underneath the 9 of Swords in reverse. So then we were talking about the 8 of Swords. So then we're going to go a little deeper in that. And then the 6 of Cups in reverse. So a lot of internal stuff happening. So with the Magician coming up in reverse right after the Tower, it is telling me that you have to let that tower fall. You have to let something fall away. You do. I had to let a whole group of friends fall away recently, and I was like, ugh, how am I going to find friends in my 30s? And guess what? I've already met a couple of really cool women who are in their 30s who are like, hey, we're vibing. Do you want to do something sometime? Yeah, I do. So it's I had to let those doors close, and it was hard for a while because it was well, what does this mean? And I had to let go and just trust that it was happening for a reason. And now doors are starting to reopen again. It was clearing that space out. It's clearing the space out. And you cannot be your fully embodied self if you're holding up the crumbling towers. When you're trying to hold up things that need to fall away. That's why I feel like that's why this is in reverse right after the Tower. This has to happen for this to happen. And during this, it's reminding yourself how worthy and how deserved and how valuable you are. And that you have all the tools you need. And that it will be okay. It might take some time, but you will prevail. You will be strong. You will be your fully embodied magical self on the other side of it. I promise you will. And after that's the 8 of Swords in reverse. And before this is the 7 of Swords, which I don't like the 7 of Swords. People don't like things like Tower and the Death. I don't like the 7 of Swords. It's icky. It's about being sneaky and deceitful. And it's about miscommunications. And so I really feel like there's this center, because it's right in the center here of the way these are laid out, of being honest with yourself and not deceiving yourself, or not ignoring your intuition, okay, here's what you're telling me to do, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to do this thing over here. No. Stop. Don't do that. Your intuition's trying to help you. Your intuition is a combination of your heart and your head. The goal is to get them to work together so you can discern who to listen to when, because we need both. We need the soul and the ego to survive on the earthly realm. So if you don't listen to any of this stuff, things are going to start happening that you can't ignore that you're not going to be able to ignore what's happening. I always say, and I'm sure you hear a lot of spiritual practitioners say, like, you want to listen to the universe, especially when it's just like a light little tap on your shoulder. Like, hey, I got something to tell you. And you're just like, what? Okay, I hear you, but that would require me to do these things over here, and I don't want, that's too much work. And they're like, okay, like, we warned you. And then they're like, then you get like a shove, like, hey, I thought you didn't want to deal with this shit. I'm trying to tell you this thing over here, so you don't have to deal with it anymore. And you're like, yeah, but I don't want to change anything, so I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And then you get like the shove from the universe, and you are forced to change it, or things change for you. Things change for you without your control or your say or anything. So you need to listen to those signs, listen to your intuition, listen to the universe when you can hear it maybe talking to you and maybe telling you something, while it's very gentle, because the universe don't play around. And if it needs you to know something and learn something, it will make sure you learn it. But when you do these sort of introspections and like come to places like this, these are chances for you to catch it before it's out of control, before it's chaos, before all of a sudden you have no choice. Okay? And then the last but not least is the Six of Cups in reverse. And that tells me a couple things. It tells me that you probably need a little inner child work, and that there's something that needs to be grieved also. And that could also be the things that are happening from this Tower moment. You need to make sure that you're giving those things opportunities to be grieved. If these are things, futures, goals, people that you thought you were going to have future like things with, and all of a sudden that's gone, you have to give it its moment. You have to feel it. You have to write letters to it. Full moons are my favorite time to write goodbye letters and burn them in my backyard and say, giving it up to God and the universe, like, c'est la vie. And then when you give it a chance to grieve, then you have a chance to heal it. And it works better and easier and faster the more you give. Your grief is like a version of your inner child. It's like, having a temper tantrum on the floor, like, I need my attention. I'm hurt and I don't know. It's like you can't always ignore a child having a tantrum. They're having a tantrum for a reason. I feel like there's this gentle parenting that is becoming more of a thing where it's like, let's acknowledge the emotions here. Let's acknowledge that children are acting out when something doesn't feel right with them, and they don't have the skills like adults, and most adults don't have the skills. Maybe if we were trying to get these skills with our children and teach these skills to our inner child, then we're breaking generational toxicity, and we're healing for the future. Okay? Also, I would like to add a loving note that this is a great time to also just try to take a break if you can. Plan some fun in your life. Have something to look forward to. Halloween's coming up and we're doing a little bit better. So I know it can be so easy to get stuck in our grief, to get stuck in the shit, and to just be like, nope, I'm just going to stay home. I don't want to do it. It is a good time to reconnect with people and have a little fun. Because as important as the healing is, it should not be everything. You can't just do it all the time. You definitely got to give yourself as much time as you need, but the fun and the reconnection is part of the healing. That's part of it. Okay? Remembering, doing things that remind you of why you chose to be alive on this earth. Cool. Let's pull a oracle card. You know what? I was going to pull one of these oracle cards, but after all that, I feel like we need a postcard from Spirit because they're just one of my favorites and they just make us all feel so good. And thank you for sticking around. I'm talking a little bit more than I thought I would, but I don't make the rules, okay? I try to have a little loose structures because Spirit makes the rules and we're just here to listen to what they have to say. I'm just the messenger. All right. Postcard from Spirit by Colette Baron Reed. With love, it says. It has a little cherub that's like got two little, they're like, look like goose dragons. I don't know if I've seen this card before. Okay. Dear you, sometimes you just feel like no one understands you. You're not heard or even that you don't count. This, my dear, is a terrible illusion. And although your feelings tell you that abandonment is real, well, we who love you know better. You are never alone, and even when rejection happens, you are ultimately being protected, so better things can replace what wouldn't have worked in the first place. Did you hear that? I said that earlier. Clearing out the things that are no longer supposed to be there so that the right things can come in. So perfect. Everyone on the side of the veil is watching over you and rooting for your ultimate success. Life loves you, we love you, and you are a unique spark of the divine and always connected to the light and to source. You are always in our care. Trust and keep the faith. Love you always and forever. Oh, I love it so much, you guys. It's so good. Oh, it's so good. How perfect is that? I don't think I've ever read this card, pulled this card before, and that is just perfect. Trust and keep the faith, baby. That is the public service announcement for this moon. Because you are supported, you are loved, you are love, you deserve it. You deserve success and happiness, and it's all for your highest good. Cool. Very good stuff. Thank you again. That is your general reading for this upcoming Aries full moon on October 20th. And if you need a little bit more help with that and you want to dive deeper with me, you can always book a one-on-one session for me. I offer 30, 45-minute, hour, and hour and a half sessions. And I would love to connect with you. All right, y'all. I love you all so much. And I will see you all soon. Okay? Bye.
She's a silent